Despite 34.4% of school-age children identify as Asian and other ethnic minorities. This lack of representation means that our children miss out on diverse perspectives and stories that reflect their own experiences. Our unique voices and fresh perspectives deserve to be heard, and the AIM Literary Festival was born out of our desire to provide that vital space. Our mission is clear. We want to amplify unheard voices, foster a passion for reading and writing, and celebrate the diversity that enriches storytelling without making it a selling point. We believe that every story matters, and through sharing our perspectives, we can build a more inclusive and empathetic community. And to accomplish our mission, within last 4 years, we have published 42 books written by debut authors and invited 62 speakers from the age of 8 to 80 years to come here and share their journeys. We are the pioneers in publishing books written by children. And to demonstrate how an inclusive publishing landscape could look like, last year we launched Story Garden, a demo bookstore showcasing 145 books by a diverse array of writers, from emerging talents to established authors. This collection featured works from renowned authors Jasmine Ward to debut young writers like Suhana Joshi and Diva Karnani, and publishers of all sizes, from giants like Hachette and Penguin to smaller independent publishers, contributed to this initiative. To foster a passion for reading and writing, we delivered more than 30 workshops for both adults and children, providing invaluable opportunities for knowledge exchange. This year, we introduced the Happy Tree Book Club, inviting book lovers to gather and read together in nature. We are constantly exploring innovative ways to achieve our mission. Now, let me hand it over to Ekta to share more about our exciting plans for this year's festival. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Monica. Good evening and welcome all to the AIM Literary Festival. It's wonderful to see all of you. It was not a very nice day. It was not as sunny as it has been lately, but I'm glad we all still love books so much that we don't think about the weather, which is so British. So Monica has shared with you a journey which has been nothing less of a beautiful joyride. We often laugh that it's supposed to be a business, but we always run it like as if we're still in school and we're still having that fun, which is the best part of it, by the way. So talking about our vision, I'm just going to share very quickly with you the vision that we have behind this festival. Curated by the Our Small Press, Author in Me Publishing, AIM Literary Festival is an extension of the mission of promoting diversity in publishing. Now in the UK, we live in a multicultural and vibrant society. And it's our mission that our literary landscape should reflect the cultural landscape as well. And I want this line to be heard by every aspiring author, that it's essential to recognize that completing a book is a triumph in itself. It takes immense skill and dedication to do so. And if your work touches even one person and makes that impact, you have made a significant change in someone's life. We strive to be the catalyst of that change and that impact. We aim to be the melting pot of global storytellers, each enriching our lives with their unique experiences. Which brings us to the theme of the festival this year. Our theme this year is life, experiences, and the stories in between. Don't we all always feel that there is a story in every experience? We chose this theme because we firmly believe that stories rooted in experience and global issues weave the fabric of our lives. Their narratives connect us across time and space. And we want to showcase stories that explore the moments that shape us, the journeys we undertake, and the narratives that enlighten and unite us. Our aim is to highlight the universal human experiences that resonate with all of us regardless of our background and culture. Just a little glimpse of the festival that is about to come. Today we are just doing a curtain raiser, giving you a glimpse of what is to be expected in the full week event, the full festival, which is happening between 14th and 19th of October. During the festival, you will hear from authors, poets, and storytellers, both budding and established, which is what we always try to do. We try to bring debut authors along with some established authors and create a space for each to share their experiences. We also have special masterclasses for those seeking guidance on writing and publishing. For the past 4 years, we have curated festival as a full-day event with a mix of activities for children and for adults. This year, however, we have dedicated a special day for our budding young authors like Diva and Anya and many others, and Aishwarya here, who's with us here. And this is happening in collaboration with the Roald Dahl Museum on October 19th, and we are very excited about that. Additionally, we have partnered with Buckinghamshire County and schools, Bucks Libraries, and Brent Libraries to expand the festival's reach and impact. Now, I can't end the speech without some gratitudes which are in place today. Our journey wouldn't have been possible without the support of those who have always believed in us and given us their unwavering support. We are very grateful to the Art Council for funding this festival. We also like to extend our gratitude to the High Commission of India and the team of Nehru Center for always supporting us and believing in us. A huge thanks to our advisory board, Dr. Pushpinder Chaudhary, Lovina Tandon, Anila Dhami, who has just joined our advisory board, Alan Durant, and Vani Tikku Tripathi. Special thanks to Waterstone's Children's Laureate, Joseph Coelho, who has never shied away from extending his support, be it through social media or just coming and being a keynote speaker. IPG, IIW, iGlobal, and lastly, I want to thank the British Book Awards for selecting us as the regional finalists for Small Press of the Year category for 2 consecutive years, 2023-2024. We haven't won it yet, but we will one day. We are very, very hopeful, so maybe next year we'll announce that. So welcome to AIM Literary Festival, and let the stories begin. May you have a good time. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Monica and Hector for making this festival possible. And so now we make our first step on our journey this evening, and we move into our first panelist discussion on celebrating diversity through narratives. So please, first of all, welcome back to the stage the founder of Author in Me, Monica Sood. And I would also like to invite Children's Bookseller of the Year and owner of the oldest running children's bookshop in the country, Sanjita Basu Dasaka, as well as children's life coach, teacher, and resilient cancer survivor, Priyanka Pandya. And finally, our very esteemed moderator, with over 2 decades of illustrious experience as an award-winning broadcast journalist and a captivating storyteller with her podcast, India, A Story in the Making, which you can find on YouTube and all podcast providers, so please do subscribe. Please give a warm welcome for all our panelists and especially our moderator, Lovina Tandon.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I've come with my copy and pen. I shall be taking classes. Are you all ready? Where are your copy and pens? We all be asking you to write your stories by the end of it. Thank you very, very much, all of you. I'm so delighted to be here and amongst all of you. And a very opportune, or rather very timely moment. Could we take a moment to remember the 3 girls in Southport and send very sensible vibes, if we can, to everybody, if these vibes reach, that may peace prevail everywhere. So just a moment of silence of 5 seconds. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Sanchita, I think I want to begin asking by you. So delighted you have a children's book. And if I shop, and I used to live nearby, actually, I wish I would have come to your shop with my children. I was always hunting for such bookshops. Tell me, how do you choose the books that go on your shelves? And also, do you have enough from the South Asian or the diverse audience, or writers, for that matter?
Is that on? Is that on? Yes, it is. Well, you're asking me about one of my favorite things about the bookshop, which is getting to curate my own selection. We're an independent bookshop, and we've been around for 50 years this year. It's our birthday year.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And I think part of the reason we've stood the test of time is because we've always taken our curation of our books incredibly seriously, and we respect our children so much. So we only ever put the highest of quality out for them. And there's no point in stocking a book if you don't love it. There are high street bookshops that you will go to, and they will just put out books by celebrities, and they will just put out whatever the publishers want to be selling. But for us, it's what moves us, what draws us in, the best quality of writing, the most beautiful illustrations. And yes, that means sometimes sourcing them from far and wide, taking a leap of faith on new writers and new illustrators and publishers and initiatives. And that is the deepest joy. So we speak to a lot of publishers, we have a lot of people coming in, and from that, from the thousands and thousands of books that are published every year, and believe me, we're a tiny bookshop, we're like a TARDIS, we are tiny, but we manage to stock thousands of books in there, and within that we whittle down what I believe is the absolute best of children's literature. Do we have enough South Asian representation? Never enough. But I think it has also got so much better since I started working in this field. I joined the bookshop sometime in 2011. And at that point, I used to go to the then owners every day. And I used to say, why don't we have any more South Asian writers, no stories? Why is it the same things that I read when I was a kid back in the 90s? And we knew it was a matter of urgency at that point. And there have been some incredible reports and work from the ground up that have come up since then and really crunched the numbers about these things, and all the publishers, all the children's publishers sat up and said, okay, you know what, this is not good enough. So over the last 5 years, I have seen an incredible explosion of South Asian children's writers, all being given that opportunity to explore their stories, not all just set around the world, some set here, some set there. And so now I feel like my shelves are finally diversifying in a way that I have been longing for all my life.
Oh, how wonderful. So is there enough demand? Clearly there must be for you to stock it.
I don't think there is always demand. Mm-hmm. There will always be people who say, do you have any stories that reflect, an Asian background, or that reflect the sort of stories I knew when I was younger, and people from that specific background. But also, the joy of children's literature is you are opening up a world of curiosity, and people don't know what they want until they have read it and until they've experienced these things. No one thinks, oh, I have to read a story set in Bombay, set on a train, an adventure there, until you've read it, and then you think, my God, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen, and then you go out and you seek more stories like it. So opening up these doorways and giving a child something that they didn't expect, that's where the joy is.
Brilliant. And I'm going to come back to you, but before that, I want to go to you, Monica, and ask you that I heard all that you said, and we know that close to 15% of the population is not born in the UK, but yet you said there are 1% of the literature. And author and me just chose to be in that space. Chose the toughest space for yourself. Why?
Because we hear diversity, this word, very commonly these days. But in publishing, I feel diversity cannot be a trend. It is a necessity. Because diverse perspectives, they bring richness to our experiences, our stories, our ideas. And until we explore those ideas, we cannot be tolerant, we cannot expect that people should be empathetic to each other unless they know about each other. So I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I came across a book called Educated, written by Tara Westover, which was written by a girl. She was born in US, and in 1986, I didn't expect that someone from US, born in that age, could not have going to school rights, normal human rights. And she had to struggle to go into education. She didn't even go to school. She was like homeschooled until the age of 16. And later on, she graduated, she did PhD from Cambridge University. So what I want to say here is, like, we have preconceived beliefs about different communities, different cultures.
Exactly.
And unless we bring those stories out, especially, people from here, if somebody is not from India, they don't know what is our culture about. They don't know what our story is about. And unless and until we highlight those stories, we cannot be tolerant to each other. We should know each other at human level. Deeper connection are born through stories. And that is why we chose that South Asian stories to make, because UK is a vibrant country with rich culture. Yeah, and we wanted to showcase that in the literary landscape too.
Yes, very much required, isn't it? If possibly in today's world, it can't be more relevant where we are sitting in the moment today, that had people known what we are all about, or the diversity or the culture, the differences that we come from, possibly they won't be on the streets. But let me take it to you, Priyanka. You showed the courage to tell your story. Priyanka is a cancer survivor, and when she had cancer, I will let you tell your story, but your children were 2 and 4. Can I say, let me ask you this way, what all did you have to go in your heart and mind to decide to come to a moment and say, no, I think I want to tell? Because a lot of people don't even want to tell what they are going through, or that they have any problems, especially cancer. I don't know, dare I call that stigma? And as we say, ghar ki baat ghar mein rehni chahiye.
I didn't feel that way. The most important thing was my children's well-being. I went to Macmillan a lot. They've been a great support, but the only fault that I've found is that there is no support for children. And I spoke to lots of people to try and find a way where I could support my children, and I thought, well, surely I'm not the only one who's going through this. My children aren't the only ones going through this. How can I get help for them? And it took me about a year to find the support centre that we attend at the moment, where we go every Friday. But then not everyone has that. So I thought, how else can I support families at home? And I think I had a few people say, why don't you write? I'm not a writer, I'm a school teacher, but it came naturally. I think the toughest part was finding a title for the story. And it was my journey through cancer, and that's what will come across in the story. And it has points where families can actually stop and talk about their emotions and feelings, and just be heard.
What is it that you found most difficult, Priyanka, to tell? Or
I don't find it hard. I know in the South Asian community it is a taboo subject, and I was approached by a reporter asking me what I faced. Um, Cancer wasn't the taboo, it was more, why are you telling your children?
Right.
My answer was, why not? Why would I not tell my children? They live in the same house as me. I can't sneak around them. It's something quite visible to them. And I rather be open and honest rather than they make up stories. It was a very difficult journey, but I've had terrific support from my family, and we all managed to get through it.
Answer if you would like. Yeah. What was the point, and how did you tell your children? And were you surprised, or how did their reaction surprise you, or what was the moment like? This is a takeaway for anyone who is thinking and deciding or wanting to as well.
So the Macmillan have a book to read to children about what breast cancer is. So on a Sunday morning, we had both girls in bed with us, and we read them the story. My youngest was 2, so she was far too young to understand anything that we shared with her, whereas my eldest, she took it all in, but she didn't say anything straight away. We carried on with our day. We went to the garden centre that day and came home, and we sat down for lunch, and that's when she came out with all the questions, so she had that time to process what we had read to her, and her biggest fear was the hair loss. And
Wow.
that was the hardest part, because when I did decide to shave my head, that was the thing that was going through my head, is how is she going to take it? But as they say, children are resilient. My youngest her comment was, "Mummy, you had a haircut." And I think they got over it quite quickly. I mean, they do still look at old photos and say, "Oh, I wish you still had your hair like you did back then." But it's growing, and
I think your hair is better than mine, honestly. No, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that. And my experience in life has been that children are far more resilient than we ever think, and the credit that we give them And Sanchita, that brings me to you. Children for children. Children writing for children, and that's what Author and Me does so brilliantly. Do you think that's the next revolution waiting to happen, or it's already happening? Fill that blank for all of us.
Well, firstly, before I answer that question, I'm going to say that I think it's lovely that you've written this book, because actually we've been talking about empathy, and empathy about exploring other people's races and cultures through stories, but also the emotions and the things that people go through. And learning about life through a children's book is probably the easiest way to take a walk in someone else's shoes. You were talking about all the people who are out on the streets today, lobbing things at various businesses. And I think if they'd all read the children's books that are being published now and that are available in our bookshops, we would be having very different sorts of conversations today. So thank you for writing that. In terms of children writing for children, that's such a beautiful thing. I love it. It's a gorgeous way to engage people. I think you know when someone's been inspired by everything that they're reading, because it's irresistible. They put pen to paper. There are things spinning out of their minds and their imagination, and all you want to do is encourage it and let it bubble forth. It's in the work that you're doing. It's in the work that we do at the bookshop. You know, very similarly to you, we have a lot of writing classes. We do workshops. We do competitions, and it's needed more now than ever. Mm-hmm. The NLT, the National Literacy Trust, who do incredible work. We do a lot of work with sort of literacy charities in the UK, and they had quite devastating statistics about children writing for pleasure. You probably came across this recently, which is that it's really gone down, sadly, over the last couple of years, and so you know why we've gone through COVID, we've gone through a lot of interrupted time in reading and in writing and in school, a lot of the concentration is gone. And that willingness, that space to be able to dream and create has diminished, unfortunately. So, with your work, with the work of all the people around the country who are inspiring children every day, with the writers who go into schools, with Joseph Coelho and his amazing work in the laureateship, his poetry prompts. Every week he was putting out these poetry prompts at school that were free for children to use, that they were just creating their own stories, taking their pens for a walk. The laureateship is an amazing thing, that it's a gift for children. All these things that inspire young people to create and to write and to explore the imagination, that is a real gift. So yes, I think
Do you
this
have a
is how we
shelf
create.
in your bookstore for them or not?
You put me on the spot.
Yes,
I do not.
that's the
I do
idea.
not.
Do you have?
I do not yet, but I am
You should.
so thrilled that I know this room is full of children who are going to become the most incredible writers one day.
Pledge
And I can't
pledge
wait.
today.
I cannot wait for you all to sign the books, and you will all be on our shelves.
Author and me, send all your books.
Please,
to
please.
Sanchita for a shelf.
I'm so excited to see them. I've not seen them before, so this is brilliant. This is absolutely
wonderful.
amazing.
So I shall be walking in with, there's a reason. And I hope you don't have screens in your bookshelf.
Absolutely not. They're
Yeah,
banned.
because all of us are struggling to get children away from this screen and to the paper. Or
what it
maybe we
is.
have to bring and write the books like Kindle Write or something like that. But you're pledging, aren't you, Sanchita? I can see the smile.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. And Monica, diversity, you said, this whole thing about diversity. Tell me the process of you choosing the authors, and how do you choose and how do you work with them? And then I'm going to take them and ask how she found it working with you.
Right. So we started Author in Me by publishing books written by children. The reason was because Ekta and me, we both are mothers, and we want our children to read and write more. So it started from home, but then we realized that when children read books written by children, you don't have to nudge them. You don't have to coax them. Come on, read books. Recently, we launched this book, which is written by a 10-year-old girl. She's sitting right there.
Raise your hand, 10-year-old girl. What's your name? There you are. Clap for her. She wrote a book instead of being on the screen, or as well as being on the screen. Thank you.
So
What's her name?
The World Through My Eyes.
Aishwarya.
Aishwarya.
Wonderful, Aishwarya. Congratulations.
And we were at her book launch, and her friends, they were queuing up to read her book, and her mothers were nudging, "Oh, put the book away.
तुमने क्यों नहीं लिखी? तुमने क्यों नहीं लिखी?"
And then they were saying, no, I have to finish the poetry. So that is something naturally comes from children when they read a book written by a child. Probably they see more of their shared emotions, their perspectives in the books. So I think that is the beginning point for us when we started. But later on our journey, we realized that not many South Asian writers get the platform to speak about their journeys, to speak about the books they have written. And then we realized that we have to create a space for that too. And we started Author in Me Literary Festival to give those writers a space, come and talk about their journeys, and show the world that their stories are unique and they need to be heard. So that was the idea behind this. And we are very fortunate, like Priyanka, she trusted us, because I know it's really hard to talk about a topic that is, which is so painful, and she decided to come and, write for us. And similarly, many authors are here who have shown belief in our publishing house, and we are trying our best to bring those books to
Sanchita, who has
Sanchita's
already
bookshelf.
promised a shelf for the children.
Yes.
How wonderful is that? Okay, Priyanka, how different was it for you to work with Author in Me? Go on.
So, I mean, it's my first time, so I don't know what to expect, but they've been so helpful, and the feedback that I've got from Ekta, Monica, and Alan, who's been helping me edit, it's just been such an easy ride that I can't believe that I think we started this process about March, April,
Yes, March, April.
and we're looking to publish in October to launch it.
Oh, how
So it's
wonderful.
been
So how many, April, May, June, July, August, September, 6 to 7 months. Great.
so it's been a pleasant journey.
So does the process involve a lot of back and forth? Just walk us through the process, because I just want to do it for people who want and have a story in them and want to tell, but they're always thinking, "Are, how would we do it?" And it must be a. So what does it take, and what does it take for the publisher? Go on.
So during my cancer treatment, that's when I started to write, and I sent off the manuscript to Ekta and Monica. They then passed it on to Alan, and it's been a few back and forths, not many, not as much as I was expecting, and now we're on to the illustrations.
Oh, how wonderful.
Who's doing the illustrations?
Debra Smitha, which
She's here as well.
she's blown me away with her illustrations.
How wonderful. I have had the opportunity to work with them, and I can absolutely endorse. Illustrations were done by my mother. She's sitting here. But incredible people to work with, actually, because they have heart in it. You know, it's not about just writing a story. The publishers have to have a heart to put in, and the heart to put in their time. I think that's the point. I think we have to wind up, but is it yes? So the last question for each one of you. Today, how important is it for these stories to be told? How can we bring out these stories in our people? What do we need to do?
I mean, if they do say that cancer is a taboo subject in the South Asian community, then I hope that I can break that barrier, that I'm doing something to move past that and set an example to my girls that anything can be done.
Brilliant, and anything can be told and should be. Sanchita, how difficult, what are the challenges and what are the solutions and resolutions to bring the diverse stories to the forefront and get a bookshelf in your shop for children?
You should be on 10%. The challenges are always going to be the sustainability of it. Having had this rush of diverse publishing from a lot of the mainstream publishers, it's about what next? How do you continue to support authors beyond book one? How do you get so that they are the same status as Philip Pullman or Michael Morpurgo or Michael Rosen or all these authors who have been on shelves for decades and are brilliant? They need to be nurtured. It can't just be about the sales figures for book one. So that is one of my main challenges at the moment. So I've started up a festival as well, a different one, which is about supporting South Asian writers who are working in this sphere, just so that they are really all on the map the whole time and that I want to see them in 50 years' time. And the next step is inspiring children to write. So going out to schools and really doing it from the ground up so that in 50 years' time, I'm also going to see lots of kids coming in, doing signings and being just household names.
How brilliant.
Twofold.
Sanchita, before I go to Monica,
me.
just the very one last one. Do you read all the books in your...
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, I do. You're very lucky I'm here tonight. I have so many books
How
to read.
many books do you read every day for, just quickly?
Would you like to know how many I read today?
Okay, yeah, go on.
I have read, but I am counting picture books, but I have read 2 chapter books today and about 14 picture books. No, maybe 20 picture books.
Are you serious?
They are all
Are you
being...
a speed reader?
I am quite quick now. You have to develop that. I'm like a cheater.
So that every book in your bookshelf
I
is
gone
gone through your eyes?
Yes,
Oh,
I have to
wow.
love the book for it to be here. And that is why but that's why I love doing what I'm doing. I'm not in publishing, I'm not in, I'm not a writer. I am literally just reading books I love and giving them to children and saying, this is it, this is the best, this is how you're going to
Brilliant, thank you. I
open
think
yourself up.
That definitely is a round of applause for Sanchita, who will be keeping our kids' books now. Monica, tell me how can people approach you, and how feasible it is for you to sustain yourself in the environment that it is, and what are your challenges, and how do you get your solutions, whatever
Yeah.
pick and choose and answer.
So I'll answer first, how do we help people to bring their stories out? If someone is not a trained writer or is not a professional writer, we pair them with a professional author who can guide them, who can give them feedback. And it's a very supportive system, as Priyanka said, so we pair them so that they can bring their stories out in the best possible way. The second thing I want to highlight is about the challenges, what challenges we face. We can publish 500, thousands of books, but until those books reach to their audience, it is just in vain. Our efforts don't justify the impact we envision in our minds doesn't come out. Now Priyanka has written a book which is to help parents who are going through this difficult time and to open up about with their children, to talk about emotions. How do they feel when they find out this painful situation. So we want to reach to the end customer who can get benefit out of these books. So that is our aim. But the challenge is that we are looking for support from mainstream media so that they can tell us that there's a small publishing company whose efforts were recognized by the British Book Awards. We still don't get that awareness amongst our own community within South Asian diaspora. My solution would be that all Indians, please buy books, please read books, and please write as well, because our stories, they need to be heard.
Yes, and they need to be told and they need to be read. So all of you, instead of reading the Disney books, I think you should be reading whatever books they are publishing and whatever books our children are writing. I think it's our responsibility as well. We can't just say that our story needs telling, but nobody is there to read our own story. I think that's the point, isn't it? Sanchita, you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, put Harry Potter and Mr. Williams down. Come and have a look at all the incredible South Asian writers who are writing in this space, because they are so good and they need your support. So I would agree. I think you need a proper network and a proper community for this. And where Asians are quite bad at doing this is what I've discovered. So there are a lot of new South Asian writers who are writing in this field, and they've all been coming to me and saying, how can you help? How can we do this? How can we do that? And you cling to each other in a room, in a sea of white faces, in a Hachette party. You will come to each other and say, how can we help each other? So that is why we all need to come together. We need to buy diversely. We need to go to the libraries, use your libraries, and take those books out from there. Ask people who know, and come and support us as well. But yes, that is how this will build and grow.
I know. In the night, not reading Harry Potter or any of these Cinderellas, we have enough warrior princesses in our own.
Read a book called City of Stolen Magic by Nazanin Ahmed Padak. It's set in Victorian England, but it's about the empire, and it's about this girl who's come over and she has got magic. Read that. One book. That's your
Brilliant.
homework.
Thank you very much. Go on, Monica. Say how many books you have that they need to buy and read.
I think, shall I give a big number or shall I be generous? At least buy one book per week.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay, per week. Everyone saying yes? Great. I've had so many pledges today. So on that note, thank you very, very much. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Sanchita. And thank you, Priyanka, for sharing your stories. And thank you very much for pledging to read our own warriors.
I will ask questions.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Inspired us all to keep sharing experiences and stories, because it's so important. So we are now going to move on to our next stop and welcome back Ekta to the stage, and Navina, who's coming back. So we haven't had enough of her, so she's coming back to talk to Ekta about her books and her experience of storytelling.
आ जाइए एकता जी मैदान में.
Now my turn to have fun with
Go ahead. Thank you. Did you know when you were coming here that you had to deal with me? Oh, no, Sarah. You're very pretty. You can be here. Thank you very much, Ekta. Apart from being a publisher, you're also an author. Okay? Before I ask you about, tell me the name of your book. It is so very interesting, first of all.
the one that's coming.
Yes.
Let the fish fly.
Yay! So she's making the fish fly, and we can. This is so amazing. I did an interview with someone who, director who wrote, I think her name Bose. So Bose, yes, Bose. The sky is pink, exactly. And now she's making the pink, the fish fly. Why is your fish flying, Ekta?
I'll tell you why, because I'll tell you where this title came from. I'm a very, very hardcore fan of Swami Vivekananda. I hope everyone knows who he is. He was a philosopher a century back. And I was reading one of his book, and it said, if the little fish wants to fly, it has to learn to find its wings.
How beautiful.
And
We
I
all-
was so touched by that one line. I said, well, that has such a deep meaning that if you want to go beyond what you think you are and you want to explore and untap your inner potential, you have to go beyond what's normal, what the world has told you is normal. You have to find your wings. You have to learn to fly when the world is walking. And there came the title inspired by, well, I can call him my guru, Swami Vivekananda.
And actually, that's what you're doing in your life as well, aren't you? Developing a wings, trying to fly in a place which is hard to walk in this as a diverse space of book writing. So I hear a lot of philosophy, a lot of Vedanta. I know you personally. You have learned Sanskrit in order to understand Vedanta. And I think you try to bring this ancient wisdom to us. Why do you feel the need of this wisdom to be brought in this day, age, and time?
We are living in a world, Lavina, where every answer that we want, we're just searching in the Google. We're just looking for it outside. When I completely believe that it's inside us. So I'll just take you back 6 years to answer this question. There was a time when I was getting very impatient because I wanted to write a book. It was not happening. Things were not working out. And, the impatience was bringing a lot of chaos in my mind. And like everyone else, I started to Google and find answers of who has faced something like this and how did they come over it. And interestingly, I came across this verse, which I'm just going to read in Sanskrit for all of you. And
I
then
hope you all
I'll
know
translate as well. It says, Shaneha Pantha, Shaneha Kantha, Shaneha Parvat Mastake, Shaneha Vidya, Shaneha Vittam, Panchetani, Shaneha Shane. What it means is, slowly the journey reaches its end. It takes time to become a yogi. Climbing a mountain or acquiring knowledge or obtaining money is also achieved in due course of time by constant effort. Now, it didn't tell me anything different, but for some reason, it stayed with me. And I thought over it. Every time I started to lose my patience or think things are not working out, I would just say, Shane, Shane. Slowly, slowly, it will work out. And I realized that in 1 week or so, I was so much at peace. There was a lot more calmness in me. And I was like, what was it about that verse that worked, whereas nothing else was working for me? And that's what triggered my interest in Vedanta and Sanskrit and ancient wisdom. There's a reason it's called wisdom. It's not called knowledge. Knowledge is just, it's just a text. Wisdom is applied. Knowledge is wisdom. So whatever is written here is written by someone's experiences. And I wanted to experience that. So I started reading all these Upanishads. If no one knows, Upanishad is a text, a Vedic text, which was usually given by orally narrated to others, and there are about 108 Upanishads. And in Sanskrit, Upa means sitting near, sitting near teacher. Upanishad, the word Upanishad means sitting near teacher, and that is what the whole text is about. There is a very interesting format that it follows. And I was completely taken aback by that format. They are stories. It's a combination of stories, conversation between a seeker, who's usually someone, who was like me, confused or has a lot of questions, with a mentor or the wise one. And there are triggers for self-contemplation, space for you to think. And what was the thing that also touched me was that it gave you a choice. It didn't tell you you have to do this. It gave you a choice to pick your pearls of wisdom and move forward in life. And interestingly, there are 6 steps of a seeker, which is Sama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana, which is, control over senses, mind, tranquility, forbearance, faith, and balance of mind. So I put myself into that test, and I started adapting these 6 virtues in my life. Whatever happened outside, situations or whatever challenges came, I kept reminding myself, I kept contemplating on myself, and I read those stories, the conversations, and then I contemplated, and eventually it made a difference in my life.
Very interesting. I do want to understand. Yes, we all have this wisdom. We come from a space where this wisdom exists, and we know it is there. But how do we bring it to our life? Now, I want to understand from you the 6 virtues that you mentioned. Is there an anecdote that you could give us to say, how did you manage to calm your mind and your heart when you were in a situation where it was just impossible, or a crisis situation? Anything that can be led by example.
Okay, so I will, if I start telling you the story, it's going to be really long, but there was at the time I was contemplating on my reactions. When someone tells something to us, our instant reaction is, usually we just react instantly. And I was like, I'm just going to work on my reaction towards any situation or words said by someone, and I'm going to become more aware of it.
How do you do that? Do you count 3, 2,
No,
1?
I just reminded myself of a verse that I had read, I just kept saying samadhana, which means equanimity.
Right.
So every time I felt the urge to react, I would just hold back, and I'm